You carried the weight because you had no choice. But now comes the moment that decides everything. Not the weight itself, but how you respond to it. Because the pain you're feeling is not just about what happened to you, it's about what you're telling yourself about it. And that inner story is either tightening the grip or slowly loosening it. The mind is powerful, too powerful to be left unchecked. When suffering enters, the brain goes into defense mode. It wants answers. It wants escape. It wants relief now. So it replays the moment again and again. Each replay deepens the wound. Each thought adds another layer of pressure. What started as pain turns into exhaustion. What began as hardship turns into identity. This is where many people get stuck, not because the cross is too heavy, but because they keep lifting it the wrong way, fighting it, resenting it, asking it to disappear. Psychology has a name for this: resistance. And resistance always amplifies suffering. The more you push against reality, the more your nervous system stays on high alert. Stress hormones flood the body. Focus narrows. Hope shrinks. Everything feels urgent. Everything feels overwhelming. But something changes the moment resistance stops. Acceptance does not mean giving up. It means you stop wasting energy on denial. The brain shifts, the body breathes again, control returns. Studies show that when pain is given meaning, the brain processes it differently. It hurts less, not because the pain is gone, but because it no longer feels pointless. This is where strength quietly begins, not the loud kind, not the kind that pretends everything is fine, the kind that says, this is here, and I am still standing. This single shift rewires how the mind handles stress. It moves you from panic to presence, from chaos to clarity. You start to notice something subtle. The cross feels the same, but you feel different, more grounded, more awake, less reactive. You stop bleeding energy into anger and self-blame. You conserve it. You gather it. And that energy turns inward, doing work you cannot see yet. Pressure is not the enemy. Pressure reveals structure. It exposes weakness, yes, but only so it can be reinforced. Neuroscience shows that challenge builds neural strength. Resilience is not inherited, it is trained. And it is trained here, in the tension, in the discomfort you wish would end. This is why comfort never transforms anyone. Growth requires friction. Without it, the mind stays small. Faith stays shallow. Purpose stays theoretical. The cross forces you to confront limits, and in doing so, it quietly expands them. This is where urgency matters, because every day spent resisting is a day spent heavier than necessary. Every moment spent numbing is a moment wasted. The longer you avoid this shift, the longer the pain stays raw. But the moment you step into meaning, the suffering changes shape. It stops consuming you and starts shaping you. You are not being crushed. You are being calibrated. The cross is teaching you how much weight your soul can carry. And it is more than you think. Much more. This is not accidental. Lives that will hold great grace are first asked to hold great weight. Depth is not given freely. It is earned through endurance. Through moments like this, when quitting would be easier, but staying present builds something permanent. Right now, something inside you is being strengthened, quietly, patiently. And once this inner shift is complete, the cross will no longer define your limits. It will reveal them. Once the limit is revealed, a choice appears, not a loud one, a quiet one. You either step forward carrying meaning, or you stay where the weight keeps teaching the same lesson again and again. This is the moment where many hesitate. Not because they are weak, but because stepping forward requires letting go of who they were before the pain arrived. The mind clings to the old self, the familiar habits, the familiar fears. Even suffering can feel safer than change. Psychology calls this loss aversion. The brain would rather hold on to known pain than risk an unknown future. That is why transformation feels threatening. It asks you to release an identity built around survival and step into one built around purpose. But here is the truth most people never hear. The cross does not follow you forward. It stays where it was first lifted. When you move with intention, the weight redistributes. It no longer presses down. It strengthens upward. What once bent your back begins to straighten your spine. Grace enters quietly at this stage, not as relief, but as capacity. You notice it in small ways. Calm where there used to be panic, patience where there used to be rage, focus where there used to be fog. This is not coincidence. The nervous system adapts to meaning faster than it adapts to comfort. When you align pain with purpose, the body follows. This is why those who have carried heavy crosses walk differently. They speak differently. They listen more. They do not rush. They know what matters because suffering stripped away what did not. This is post-traumatic growth taking shape, not becoming harder, becoming deeper. The urgency now is real because staying stuck does not pause life. Time keeps moving, opportunities keep passing, and every day spent avoiding growth reinforces the old pattern. The brain strengthens whatever it repeats. Delay trains doubt. Action trains belief. Belief is not blind optimism. It is practiced trust. It grows when you show up despite fear, when you move despite uncertainty. Faith becomes real only when tested, and this is the test. Not whether the pain exists, but whether it defines your direction. You were not meant to carry the cross forever. You were meant to be changed by it. The weight shaped your endurance. Now it sharpens your vision. You see through illusions faster. You recognize truth quicker. You waste less energy on what drains you. Grace does not erase scars. It gives them meaning. It turns wounds into wisdom. And wisdom carries authority. Not over others, but over yourself. You stop being controlled by reaction. You start acting with intention. That is power, quiet power, lasting power. This is where commitment matters. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. Because every step forward confirms the transformation already happening inside you. The mind learns from movement. Confidence follows action, not the other way around. Waiting to feel ready keeps people frozen for years. You are ready because the cross prepared you. The struggle trained your nervous system to survive pressure. Now it is time to live with direction, to stand taller, to choose meaning over avoidance, to carry what remains with dignity and OT resentment. The greater the weight you carried, the greater the grace you can now hold. This is not symbolic. It is lived truth. Depth creates capacity. Pain creates perspective. Endurance creates leadership. Even if no one sees it yet, something solid has been built within you. Do not shrink back into who you were. Step forward as who you are becoming. The cross did its work. Now let the grace do its own. Now you understand something most never do. The cross was never meant to end you. It was meant to expose what could not be built any other way. And once that truth lands, there is no going back to pretending. Awareness changes everything. You see your pain differently. You see yourself differently. Responsibility replaces confusion. Power replaces helplessness. This is where excuses lose their grip, because you know too much now. You know that staying small is a choice. You know that waiting for permission is another form of fear. The mind will still try to pull you backward. It will whisper comfort. It will remind you of safety. But comfort has already shown you its limits. It kept you alive, not fulfilled. Fulfillment demands movement. It demands risk. It demands that you carry what you learned and step into spaces that once scared you. Growth always feels like exposure at first. The brain reacts to expansion as danger. Heart rate increases. Doubt appears. This is not a sign to stop. It is a signal that transformation is active. Urgency matters now because momentum fades if it is not used. The nervous system either learns courage or relearns fear. There is no neutral ground. Every day you act in alignment with meaning, new pathways form. Confidence stops being an idea and becomes a state. You trust yourself because you have evidence. You moved when it was hard. Grace deepens here, not as emotion, but as stability. You become harder to shake, less reactive, less dependent on external validation. This is inner authority taking root. You stop asking the world to be gentle with you. You become strong enough to meet it as it is. The cross changed your standards. You no longer chase shallow winds. You seek alignment, integrity, depth. This makes your life quieter but heavier with meaning. You say no faster. You walk away sooner. You protect your energy because you know what it costs to rebuild it. People will notice the shift, not because you announce it, but because your presence feels grounded. Pain taught you how to listen. Loss taught you how to value. Pressure taught you how to lead yourself when no one else could. This is earned strength, and earned strength does not beg for recognition. There is a calling attached to this kind of growth, not a title, not applause, responsibility to live awake, to not waste what nearly broke you, to turn survival into service, even if that service is simply showing up differently in your own life. The temptation now is to slow down, to coast, to assume the work is done. But grace expands when used. Strength grows when applied. Faith deepens when tested again. This is not about chasing struggle. It is about not running from purpose. Every step taken with intention honors what you endured. Every disciplined choice redeems the pain. You stop asking why this happened and start asking how you will live because of it. That question changes trajectories. It turns stories around. It separates those who merely recover from those who rise. You are not ahead by accident. You are here because the weight shaped you for this exact moment, to stand up straighter, to choose differently, to act with clarity instead of fear. This is the reward hidden inside the struggle. The cross made room inside you. Grace fills that space now. Not to make life easy, but to make it meaningful. Carry that forward. Walk with it. Live for it. The weight was heavy for a reason, and the grace it unlocked is meant to be lived, not remembered. What happens next decides whether all of this becomes wisdom or just memory, because pain that is not applied fades into regret. Meaning that is not acted on dissolves into noise. This moment asks for embodiment. Not understanding, not agreement. Movement, you have already crossed the hardest threshold. Awareness, most never reach it. They circle the same wounds for years, hoping time will heal what only intention can transform. You are past that now. You see clearly, and clarity carries responsibility. The weight refined your perception. You notice when you are drifting. You feel when you are compromising. That discomfort is not a flaw. It is alignment pulling you forward. Ignore it, and it will grow louder. Honor it, and it will become guidance. Grace is not passive. It does not float down and solve problems. It shows up as strength at the exact moment weakness would have taken over before. As restraint where reaction once ruled. As courage when silence would have felt safer. This is how grace works in real life. Quiet. Demanding, precise. The stakes are higher now because you know what is possible. You know who you can become. And living beneath that knowledge creates tension. The mind resists it at first. It prefers comfort, familiar routines, old limits. But the soul does not forget expansion. Once it tastes growth, it demands more. This is where discipline becomes sacred, not punishment, devotion. Small, repeated choices that align with who you are becoming. Showing up when no one is watching. Choosing truth over ease. Depth over distraction. These decisions, company, empound. They reshape identity. You stop waiting to feel motivated. You act from commitment. Motivation follows behavior, not the other way around. Neuroscience confirms it. Action creates belief. Movement builds confidence. Waiting keeps you trapped in potential. This is how lives quietly change direction, not through grand moments, but through relentless alignment, day after day, choice after choice. You become dependable to yourself, And that trust is unbreakable. Grace continues to expand as you use it. You become a stabilizing presence. Others feel it without understanding why. You do not need to convince. You demonstrate. You embody. Pain taught you empathy. Pressure taught you patience. Loss taught you what matters. This is leadership without title, authority without force, strength without noise. And it only comes to those who carried weight without becoming bitter. The temptation to shrink will return. It always does. Old fears do not disappear. They lose power through repetition. Each time you choose forward motion, they weaken. Each time you honor meaning over comfort, the new self solidifies. You were shaped for endurance. Now you are shaped for influence. Even if that influence touches only one life, including your own, it matters. Nothing that formed you was wasted. The cross did not make you special. It made you capable. Capable of depth, capable of restraint, capable of courage when it counts. And that capability carries obligation to live fully, to live honestly, to live awake. This is not about proving anything. It is about honoring what you survived, letting it inform how you speak, how you choose, how you stand when pressure returns, because it will carry forward what was earned. Let the grace you now hold shape every step. The weight was heavy because the life ahead requires strength, and you have it now.